I am resident of Colorwood Jewel Sage for YouTube. I'm joined by my buddy Patrick McCray, author of the Dark Shadows Daybook and Dark Shadows Daybook About. We're here to discuss Tim Burton's Batman 1989, starring Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson. What a cast this is here.
Yes.
What did you think of this movie when you first saw it, Patrick?
Well, Joel, I'm gonna turn the pants around and put them on you. Um, why did you pick this film for us to discuss tonight?
Well, I was gonna pick Batman 2 because it takes place on Christmas, but I said
Well,
no. Let's. Hmm?
okay.
But
I
I
think
said
we
no.
should do-
Let's go with the first one because what the hell? And really, I've not discussed. I don't think I've discussed the first Batman at all on my channel. So
So again, I've now I turned the pants around. I put them on you. I'm zipping them up tight, cinching down the belt. How old were you in 1989?
7.
How soon after the release of this film into the world did you see it?
I actually saw it when I was 8 years old. I saw it in 1990.
Okay,
So I
okay,
saw
so
it the
you're eight,
next year.
but
Again,
it's steeped in Batmania prior to this
I
because everywhere.
Batman did seem like he was everywhere. I think you got to give for me because I had heard of Superman. I was
Sure.
aware of the Superman movie's existence. I had not seen it yet at the time.
When you were 6, you dated Margot Kidder, and in Ill Fated, that's how you found out about those. Go on.
No, but that's a good one. Um, the Batman movie is the first superhero movie I saw.
Okay.
Um, Now it's not the first movie I saw. I've told you before. My mother showed us John Carpenter's Halloween,
Yeah.
but it's the first superhero movie I saw. I did not see um, Christopher Reeve's Superman until after I saw Batman. Now I was fascinated by both characters, but I can't sit there and say I was a fanboy of either character. I found them compelling and interesting. Don't get me wrong, but because I
So this was
realized
not a movie that really stuck with you.
yeah, for this movie stuck with me for a couple reasons. Number one, I had heard enough about Superman and knew he had superpowers and he was an alien. Because my mom's friend Dave Schroyer, he's a comic book collector. He told us about Superman and Batman. I knew of them through him, and
Yeah.
he's probably one of the smartest comic book people I know. That he would sit down and explain stuff to you very simply that hey, this is how they started, this is why they are and who they are and stuff like that. And so I knew of the characters, but I'd never seen Batman. I hadn't seen the Adam West stuff. I didn't see that until after this, which was interesting. Adam West, I think, doesn't probably get enough credit for making Batman kid friendly to a degree. But because that's something my
I mean,
mom would.
who?
What's that?
If it weren't Adam West, who did make Batman kid friendly? I mean, like, what's your alternative?
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
like Kevin Conroy, maybe. Maybe you're talking about Michael Keaton.
Conroy Conroy's Batman is really, really great. Um, Again, he probably one of the greatest Batman of all time from a voice standpoint, just so recognizable when you hear. And he did Bruce Wayne different than he voiced Batman. The way he voiced the characters, like Bruce Wayne was Bruce Wayne and Batman was Batman. Like he really, though they were the same person, that Bruce Wayne was Batman. The way he voiced Bruce Wayne, you couldn't tell that Bruce Wayne was Batman. He kept the secret identity in the cartoon really well camouflaged. He played it like he was playing a live action character. He voiced it that
Sure.
way. And he did a really good job. But this movie had some detective work to it, which I love detective stories. Again, Batman was brought up in the detective comics, so that makes sense. And I really not. Here's the one thing I don't love about this movie. I don't love that Jack Napier is Joker at all, because it's sort of, again, I love Jack Nicholson's portrayal of it because I feel he's doing the work of being Joker than trying to be. He stops being Jack Napier to a degree, and he does try to be Joker. But there's points in this movie where it's like, I wish because when he kills Grissom, that's not a random move. That's not Joker being random. That's Jack / Joker getting revenge.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I get they wanted to get that out the way. That's fine. And then the rest of it, it's like this a lot of it's taken from the comics too. Like the gas where he poisons Gotham with laughing gas. That's taken from the first Batman comic, which is really smart. Again, this is when Hollywood writers gave a shit about at least sticking to some adaptation of the comic. At least enough of a shit, I'll say. And they seem to care about the superhero movie. I think, again, though, too, depending on who the superhero was, where say I more fell in love with the Phantom than I did Batman. I'm not trying to go off topic, but I loved
No, not at all. No, you're fine.
I reacted
theatrically to something else.
I loved Billy Zane's The Phantom.
What do you think about Zane's The Phantom?
But I think what hurt The Phantom was Mission Impossible. It came out at the same time.
I don't think that was it. Having been in graduate school at the time and going to basically every major movie release that summer, specifically at the time, it was too obscure.
Yeah.
It was not about a character anybody really knew.
Yeah.
It was they either wanted their Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
They wanted a guy in a costume, but not a guy in a costume doing Indiana Jones stuff. It was an underrated movie, but I'll tell you, having seen it and being a big fan of it in the theaters, it was good, but it's not great. And that was the problem. I did not rush out to tell everyone I knew to see The Phantom. But if they asked me if I'd seen The Phantom, I said, yeah, it's good. I liked it. Go see it.
When somebody asks me what's an underrated superhero movie, I say The Phantom.
Oh, it's a very underrated movie. That's yeah. And to me, it sort of fits hand in glove as a reflection of The Shadow.
Yeah.
Because it was just, a year or two before. And one is more successful than the other, and I think that's The Phantom.
Yeah.
In terms of being an adaptation, of the source material. But I like The Shadow a lot also. And I don't know why Hollywood made those movies. Because being on the scene, there was no demand for them. Mm-hmm. There was no demand for those movies. And really, there really wasn't. Having been there, boots on the ground, I'm glad they were made.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like sitting down for Buckaroo Banzai. Have you ever seen Buckaroo Banzai?
No.
You need to. You really need to. It's God. I would love to see what you say about that. But Buckaroo Banzai was a movie that within the very pallid geek world at the time, which could not communicate with each other instantly or anything like that. So it was very much a victim. Within the geek world was just touted as not just the second coming, the first coming, just like, wow, this is it. This is the geek messiah. And you wanted there to be lines around the block of people who just got these jokes.
Yeah.
No, the theater had like maybe 8 people in it, and nobody got a joke at all. Even the people who wanted to enjoy the movie. And so from the spirit that brought us that. I don't know. Okay, so back to Batman.
Yeah, back to Batman. Now there's a Robin nod here in this movie when Vicky Vale has to put on a mask at dinner. You see the mask is red and green, which is Robin colors. Now I heard that they were going to have a Robin in this movie, but they didn't.
It was Robin Williams who was going to be cast as the Riddler. That he was up for the part.
No, I know he was up for the part. It went to Jim Carrey eventually, sadly.
I thought he was also up for the Joker.
I think he was, but I don't know. Look, the thing of it is Nicholson is still a big movie star at this time. And he actually
huge.
Yeah, he was huge. And I mean, there wasn't nothing he didn't have his hands in. And he's somebody who was in high demand. And it's crazy because when I think of Nicholson, I mean, don't get me wrong, he does a great job in this movie. But when people say, well, what's your top 3 Jack Nicholson movies? I don't put this in my top 3 of Jack Nicholson movies because this movie isn't necessarily, it's not so much about Jack Nicholson's character. It's more about Batman. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. No, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. Boy, I got a lot to say about this film. So, Joel, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you want me at a 2, being very reasonable, calm, or do you want me at a 9, which is Vertigo? You get to choose where I am on that spectrum.
Oh wow. Let's go 5. 5's a good middle ground.
You're a brave man. Oh, this is a dreadful movie. I think it's a dog, Jewel. Oh Lord, it is unwatchably dull. The Joker it's an ugly film also. Every aspect of the design of this movie is ugly. There is no beauty. There's no elegance. The Batmobile looks ugly. Michael Keaton's not wearing body armor. He's wearing rubber muscles.
Yeah.
He can't move his head. They had yet to really, work that one out. It is a film so ugly that on the good-looking side of average guy like Michael Keaton suddenly is the most stunning thing in the film.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. If you asked me to tell you the plot of this damn thing, I would be at a loss. The Joker seems to have no plan other than to dance around to Prince tunes.
Yeah.
And vandalize art museums. He's frankly even more nihilistic than Heath Ledger, because at least Heath Ledger gave people the honor of giving them weird and elaborate deaths. That Joker respected a lot of things, but man, the Napier Joker, and it's not the Joker, it's Jack Napier. And we're denied the Red Hood. Yeah. We're denied the Red Hood origin, which for me was very important. And when does this movie take place? Why are all the gangsters dressed like something out of Dick Tracy, and yet Michael Keaton isn't? I think it's obvious that at some point, Tim Burton said, I want to set this thing in the late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
And Julie, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still
okay. Good. Your face froze. I want to set this in the 30s, 40s, and so they began to design the movie for that. And then Warner's came in and said, "Hey, you know who we could get for the Joker? Who? We get Jack Nicholson." Shit. Wow, Jack Nicholson. Yeah, but he's going to cost this much. Oh, so maybe the movie's happening in 1989. Just make it work.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah, you can.
So That's my thing. I can talk about what works in the movie also whenever you want.
Well, I'll get into. You can sort of tell this movie's somewhat designed for the 30s and 40s when you see the factory, Ace Chemicals a bit. Um,
Ah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I get that we have elements of the past in our current living design, but that just looked stupid. It
yeah,
just, what year was this happening in? Especially the costumes. What
yeah.
a,
Yeah, the gangsters in this movie even don't even seem like they're from the era of the 80s, which is just like it looks like the gangsters in this movie look like they got plugged out of a Dick Tracy movie almost. It's like, where are
yes,
you? Where are you
which was a
from?
year off.
Yeah, it would. You're right. Dick Tracy is going to come out the next year, but they look like they were from the 30s and 40s, not from the 80s, which was just it's when here's a great comparison. Go watch this movie and a movie that really represented the 80s, like RoboCop. And you really see how RoboCop is a better movie than this movie is.
I don't like RoboCop either. You know what I like? You
What's
know what I like? And I
that?
saw RoboCop opening day, summer 1987. Um, you know what I do like?
What's that?
I like the RoboCop remake.
Really?
It's a good science fiction movie. When I watched RoboCop, one of my big problems with it is that it was full of weird little but obvious logical questions that anyone in the movie should have had, that at 16 years old I in the audience had, and it just ignored them. The RoboCop sequel actually seemed to be a more thoughtful science fiction film. Certainly, it didn't have the heavy-handed satire, but okay. I live without that. I'll buy that for $1. But I, it answered every question. Some character in that movie said, "Well, yeah, but why doesn't RoboCop do this?" I mean, they even say things like, "Don't let him shoot you in the face," which is a pretty good piece of advice.
Yeah, actually. But I think you're right. This with Batman, this movie, it feels like it doesn't know where it wants to be set at. And then Bruce Wayne's parents' death is even sort of like that's probably the best scene there is in the movie because they do make Jack Napier look a lot younger. That's to me, that's the best shot scene in the entire movie is the flashback.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Um, sure. I mean, yeah, yeah, and certainly the Adam West movie hadn't covered that. I think it's really important to recognize the fact that other than a cartoon here or there, and I'm not talking about the Warner Brothers 1992 thing, um, there had been only Adam West and then the serials. So if it wasn't in the 3 seasons of Adam West or those serials, which I mean, come on. So we're just sticking with Adam West. If it wasn't in the 3 seasons of that, it had never been recorded.
yeah. To me, like I think some of the good things in this movie, I really like the character of Vicky Vale. I mean, she's fascinating. She makes the character of not only not just Batman interesting, but she makes Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne interesting. The fact that she wants to research everything about Bruce Wayne, she finds him fascinating, and the fact that she's following him around, and the real thing is too, she catches him in a couple lies where she goes, "Hey, I'm looking for Bruce Wayne at the party," and he goes, he plays like he's not Bruce Wayne, and then he introduced himself. He goes, "Oh, so you know who you are? Yeah, I'm Bruce Wayne." Now he was joking with her, but still. And then
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, we're not going to be here." And then when she's walking with Alfred, she goes, "Oh, you guys aren't going to be here." She goes, "Oh no." He goes, "Oh no, we'll be around. We'll be here." And so she catches him in a lie. And then after she follows him, she sees him when Joker appears / Jack Napier and kills the mob boss with the pen, which is a cool scene. But it's like her investigation into Bruce Wayne is as fascinating as Bruce Wayne / Batman's investigation into Jack Napier's. And I think that's what makes this movie really fun to watch.
Yeah, but now let me ask you though, as far as the concept of the Joker goes, isn't one of the frightening things about the Joker that you can only research him so far, then he blank.
I think that's my biggest. Again, I've told you when we start this, my biggest issue with this movie is the fact that they make Jack Napier the Joker. They should not have pulled that trigger. They should have. Okay, I understand casting Jack Nicholson. That's fine. But I think if you take a young man and stick him in a red hood and he falls into a liquid and then he becomes the Joker and starts performing these. Imagine Charles Grissom just getting shot randomly for no reason, and then that's your Joker. You could have had that in this movie.
I think it would have been great.
Right.
Scary as hell.
I think that's where Tim Burton really sort of loses you as when you know about the Joker and how the Joker was in a sense created, and the fact that he's supposed to be this mysterious character. The intrigue of the character is, who is Joker really, and we don't really know.
Oh, and let's face it, Jack Napier's a pretty disappointing.
Yeah. Well,
mob bug. Oh God.
Well, and really? they advertise it too that he's going to be Joker in this movie, where he has the deck of cards and he has the Joker card. It's like, come on.
Well, I mean, everybody who went to see the movie saw the name Jack Nicholson first on the poster.
Right.
So yeah, they it's like, oh, I wonder who Jack plays. Maybe he plays was it Aunt Mary or whoever was in the stately Wayne Manor. They were always having to Aunt Harriet.
Yeah. When they opened this, now I don't mind the movie's opening, but if I had to change a lot of things about this movie, one thing would be its opening. The Ace Chemical sequence would be first, but it wouldn't be an older Jack Nicholson. It would be a younger man in that red hood thing where he's leading these men into the Ace Chemicals, and Batman tries to save him from falling in, but can't. And that's how the Joker gets born. And then you have Grissom being murdered, the other mob bosses being murdered randomly. And then here's this figure called the Joker who no one knows who it is. Again, it would have been a better movie for sure. I do think from a detective, where this movie is the most fun is its detective work. It's not the greatest Batman movie ever made. I would accuse it of that because it has a lot of issues, and its main issue really starts with Jack Napier itself. The other issues, like you said, is it doesn't know when it wants to be set. And yeah, though they have confirmed, this is set in 1989, but the way you look at the sets, it's like, wait, this looks like it's supposed to be set in the 30s and 40s, not the 80s.
Yeah.
Like when you watch an 80s movie that's actually set in its own time period and you watch this Batman movie, there's a clear-cut difference.
Joel, I am set in the 1980s. All right. No, seriously, I was 18 when this thing came out. And it was sucks. Oh,
bless you.
It was it was just visually a bafflingly badly made movie. Yeah, I mean, really, visually, the only good the sequences that are just Wayne Manor look fine.
Yeah.
Nothing downtown looks good because it's the same shot. It's the same backdrop for everything. And so then what do you have left? You have the Batcave.
Yeah.
If you take the car, that stupid car, out of it, and just have the Batcave, it looks great. But here's the thing about that car. Having been around then, there were no futuristic cars that anyone took seriously that looked like that.
No.
And if you really look at the history of Batman, he's always one step ahead. He's almost a science fiction hero. You know, he's got all sorts of amazing equipment and technology. The last thing he would drive would be something that, for its era, was a clunky, obvious, easily pointed out, easy to see, massive fume spitting, odor emitting, so you can follow it easily, piece of shit like that. No, it was always very sleek. The Batmobiles were getting sleeker and sleeker, and with their era, and so it was a real step back.
Mm-hmm.
There was a copy of Premiere where all of this stuff got leaked, but released. And it was around January of '89. And it was certainly one of the most divisive photo shoots I'd seen. We saw the bat suit and we saw the car. I was like, oh, God. I died, Jewel. Part of me died when I saw those, because it was so antithetical to anything I associated with Batman. And that was a really sad day. And, Tim Burton has done that twice, because when the pictures from Dark Shadows got released, and then the official cast portrait, and you're working overtime trying to rationalize what the hell this movie's going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Listen, I told you when Dark Shadows, I was keeping my ear to the ground for it when the movie was being cast.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who I know and trust and respect, he said, "Hey, Alice Cooper just got cast in the movie." And at first I was excited. I'm thinking, wait, as Barnabas's dad? Because I'm thinking maybe they're going to do 1795
Yeah.
and do a hell of a story. And he goes, no, as himself. And I'm like, oh, shit. That's when I knew we were in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can see why. I can see why.
But with the Batman movie, again, there's some good things and there's some really bad things. I sort of wonder if they would have kept, like, I don't think Michael Keaton did a bad job playing Bruce Wayne or Batman.
He's fine. He's not the concern.
No, he's not. I think if they could keep Nicholson. The main concern to me starts with, okay, why are you making Jack Napier Joker?
Yes.
Like, why are you taking this movie and trying to make it a 30s and 40s movie? And, yet you want to be, and Warner Brothers saying, hey, let's make it in the 80s. I think the indecision of that somewhat hurts this movie. And the fact that you have Jack Napier be the Joker, and the fact you advertise Jack Napier holding the Joker card in the movie, it's like, you do not need to foreshadow this shit.
No, it's what, yeah. I mean, here's the thing when talking about the Jack Napier joke.
Yeah.
Michelangelo said that he was a great sculptor because he just chipped away all of the marble that wasn't the statue. Okay? So let's say that this thing called Jack Napier, aka the Joker, is truly the masterpiece underneath the marble, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could just chip away at that thing and you would never find a masterpiece, and you'd be up to your ass in marble chips. And that is useless chips and marble, and that is Jack Napier. What a just a useless, uninteresting character. You take any aspect of the Joker.
Yeah.
Chaos versus order. Day versus night. Joker doesn't care about going out in the day. Batman's a nighttime guy. The role of humor and kidding and irony. And Joker, Jack Napier, nobody takes you seriously. One day they will. One day I'll make them take me seriously. Something like that's an okay foreshadowing because it plugs into the character's arc.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Joker's a character who's meant to have an arc. I think
No.
Joker is just this infusion of madness that's just on this side of neutral from evil to evil. You know, and that's my take. Can I talk about things I like in this movie, Julia? You keep opening your mouth to say something, so I'm going to shut up.
Well, go ahead and talk about it then, because
You talk.
okay. Well, to talk about a lot of things, like I said, they should have did the Red Hood angle, like you're talking about. Yeah, they should have did that. Another thing I would have did too, to sort of, let's say you don't cast Jack Nicholson and you cast somebody else, and you're not going to do Joker. Somebody I could have seen them doing maybe first would have been look at the Batman with the guy from Twilight. They did the Riddler first. They could have went that route.
Couldn't look back on that in 1989 because it hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I understand what you're saying about.
Well, they could have did the Riddler first instead of just going big with the Joker. But
Yes.
I do think that, again, the problem isn't Jack Nicholson. The problem isn't that you have Michael Keaton. The problem is that you're taking Jack Napier, who's a fictional character that nobody gives two shits about, and you're making him the Joker.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, why? For what purpose? And then now there's a plus side to this. They kill off Jack Napier's character slash Joker. I think when you look at Heath Ledger's Joker was more the Joker than Jack Napier. I think Heath Ledger was sort of the Red Hood Joker that we never got, though they don't say that. And again, I don't want them to say that. I don't want them to confirm nothing about his character, because I think that that's probably the best Joker we got in cinema so far.
I have a question for you, Joe.
Good.
My question is this. Do you think most supervillains are actually crazy? Or are they just kind of immoral and driven? But I mean, by crazy, I mean truly dangerous because they're crazy. Lex Luthor's not dangerous because he's crazy. Lex Luthor is dangerous because he's sane but has terrible judgment.
Yeah.
So because I'm going to go somewhere with this question after this. This is stage one.
I think when I think of most supervillains, depending on the supervillain, like I think the Joker is so crazily random, not even he knows what he's going to do, and that's the point of the character. I think when you get into characters like Mr. Freeze is so driven by the fact that he wants to cure his wife, he'll kill to do it.
Sure, he doesn't. The Joker kind of has a tenuous grip on reality sometimes, certainly on actions and consequences. Mr. Freeze doesn't.
Right.
Freeze is just
now the Riddler I would classify as crazy, though he's smart.
Why would you say the Riddler's crazy?
Because the fact that you psychotically put clues that could lead to somebody's death, that's insane. That's crazy.
Well, that's in the Paul Dano, writing of it. But I don't see Frank Gorshin as being like that. I mean, they lead to little traps for Batman, but I don't want somebody else to get hurt.
Well, there's different versions of the Riddler, obviously, but I'm going like the darkest version of the Riddler I can imagine.
Well, that's different. I'm trying to talk about, if you were writing for Justice League Unlimited or something.
Okay.
And you had this. Not that I think he was allowed to be on that, but anyway. Right.
But I think, okay, here's a great example of a crazy character. Like, to me, Clayface is a crazy character.
Yeah. Okay. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to establish whether or not the majority of supervillains in the DC universe are crazy. Majority.
I don't know if the majority of them are crazy. Some of them are.
So let's pretend that most of them are not, or let's look at the ones that aren't. And we'll even include the Riddler in that. He's just a real mean SOB, but he's not truly truly. He's not dangerous because he's crazy. He's not dangerous because he's crazy.
Right, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So imagine that you release some, neurological wooba wooba gas or nanite or something like that only attacks supervillains.
Yeah.
And it only attacks the sane ones, and it drives them to be as easy and reckless as the for Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty crazy idea. And then, of course, it has the opposite effect on the Joker. So the Joker now is in a world where he's having to deal with all of these incredibly amped up, supersized versions of these villains. Catwoman's a cannibal. I mean, just like horrible stuff. You love cannibal characters. So then you have Joker, a sane Joker. And imagine you're the Joker and you suddenly gain a sane recollection of everything you've done. Wow. There's a lot to handle. I think it's a cool idea. I just came up with that. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that would be cool. I'd watch that for sure. I mean, so I do think, like, again, I wish they would have did a better. I don't know who made the decision to make Jack Napier Joker, but
well, Jewel, that's an interesting question because for years in Starlog we read about this movie coming up, and somehow a screenwriter was not exactly William Goldman in the fame department somehow got his name attached. I don't know if it was contractual in the press to every mention of the movie. Sam Hamm's Batman, or Sam Hamm, or Batman with a script by Sam Hamm, like that stopped any headlines. All it made us do was go, who is Sam Hamm? And couldn't he have chosen a more noble deli meat?
yeah.
John Hamm, perfectly named.
Yeah.
Sam Hamm, spiral cut mother. He's not a very, and I don't know why the hell we had to hear about him for so long, but we did. So,
do you think he did any research on the character of the Joker?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah, this isn't like, I was about to mention an audio series. No, I think he did all his thorough and adequate research.
Yeah, I do think there's, again, because there are good things about this movie. Go ahead and tell the good things.
The ending. I get out. Just kidding. That's a Statler and Waldorf. There are good things, and thrice now I shall say I can talk about the good things in this movie.
Yeah.
If you're interested. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, so good things in this movie for 500, Alex. Michael Keaton, who at the time was considered the most problematic element in the making of the movie, because the public was expecting Clint Eastwood or someone like that, not Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
And he had yet to establish himself as also playing movie villains and so on. By the way, Michael Keaton is the bad guy in RoboCop, the remake.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I like that. Kim Basinger's fine.
Yeah.
Vicky Vale is more interesting than I remembered. Michael Gow as Alfred's a very good choice.
Yeah.
It's great to see William Hootkins, a.k.a. Porkins from Star Wars, and the guy from Indiana Jones who says, top men. That one. Yeah, the Hootster's in this. He's the corrupt cop. It's good to see Jack Palance. Robert Wuhl is terrific, and his character is a character who is dynamic, who has things to lose, and he's the character I want to follow through this movie infinitely more than Michael Keaton. Character, it's I think Michael Keaton's costuming, as long as he's not Batman, is exquisite. I think it's marvelously tasteful and masculine and thoughtful. I think Danny Elfman's music is a travesty. When we saw it, it sounded like a parody of superhero movie music. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, John Williams, it's pretty funny. That's what your stuff sounds like. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And it's like, Danny, why don't you write something that's inspirational on its own terms rather than be inspirational in how it reminds us of a score it is mocking? And I feel like that's what he's doing with his stuff. You can be original without, bringing a John Williams door. And yet, in the movie, there are also some beautiful pieces of music that got neither repeated nor echoed, it seems, in any of the further films. So those are all things I like. I think the production design in realistic spaces is very good. And so those are things that work in the film.
My good about this movie is obviously the detective stuff is a lot of fun. Again, Vicky Vale is a very interesting character in this movie, and I do agree with you. The character of Knox is a character you more wanted to follow in this movie, that because he's the one investigating Batman, that's trying to ask the police about it, ask Commissioner Gordon, and they just. I like the fact that Commissioner Gordon in this movie is there's no vigilante Batman. They think that it's just superstition talk amongst the gangsters.
Sure.
That part of this movie I really enjoy, because hey, maybe the gangsters are just whacking, taking each other out, and they're just blaming it on this figure. Maybe that's the police's thinking, but no, Knox is saying, hey, the people who are saying giant bat. There's something to that. And I think the fact that his character exists in this movie, it makes the movie twice as more interesting. And it makes Batman that more interesting too, that someone is actually investigating him. And the fact that you get Knox saying, he keeps saying he heard the commissioner has his own file. And we learn real quick, no, the commissioner doesn't, but he's going to within the course of this movie, because he tells his police force, he goes, keep a lid on this until we figure out who this guy is. So that lets you know that the police are going to investigate Batman in this movie. Now, you don't actually see them investigate him, but the fact that they're saying that lets you know that they will.
Sure.
And I like that. That written dialogue is really well. I love Michael Keaton's portrayal of both Bruce Wayne and Batman. The bat suit could have used a lot of work. Again, 80s, I guess I get it. But also...
It struck us from out of nowhere. We had not seen rubber muscles on anyone. Anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was truly the biggest that we could have experienced, because it was trying to make a little scrawny Michael Keaton look buff, and it just called attention to the fact that he's little and scrawny. Later, if it had been hardened off, like battle armor, wow, we would have been very interested. But instead, Tim Burton did what he did best in Planet of the Apes and in Dark Shadows.
Okay.
You know what? You know what? I've been thinking a lot about Third Day Book.
Yeah.
And how I want to start it. And, we have a policy in certain web areas I'm involved in to just not talk about the Dark Shadows movie.
Yeah.
Or to keep it positive or whatever.
Yeah.
And there is a narrative of, it's just a movie.
It is.
Yeah, I guess so. But when I hear that spoken by people who spend most of their time invested in that franchise,
Yeah.
I want to ask him. So, is Marilyn Ross novel just a bunch of pages?
Yeah.
Is the Dark Shadows episode? It's just TV show, because it's just a movie, or it's only a movie. Is true,
Yes.
but that completely insults the amount of love and investment that the people who are going to that movie go to see. I mean, the Mona Lisa is only a pile of oil and pigment and canvas, right? It is we who go to look at it, who bring our feelings about beauty or art or whatever to bear, who see it as a masterpiece. So, yeah, sure, it's only a movie. That does not invalidate anything. And so why does it matter? And it's not just a movie, and it does matter if you're a Dark Shadows fan. So I think maybe that's where we begin answering the question why Dark Shadows matters.
It's a movie that was made by people who didn't have its best interest at heart.
I don't know if they had anyone's best interest at heart. But back to the BM we've been straining with.
Yeah, again, I love the character of Vicky Vale, Knox, and Eckhart is a very interesting character. They have a dirty cop. A lot of interesting characters in this movie. Again, my biggest issue is Jack Napier becoming Joker. I do love the fact that I do think Nicholson tries his damnedest to put the character over. It's not any fault of his. Yeah. I just don't really give a shit about the character of Jack Napier.
You have no reason to.
Right, and that's a whole other issue. Other than that, again, I don't love the sets, the designs. The clothing, again, is interesting. I'll tell you a character who I think who I think would have stealed this movie if it had been given more lines and more. Billy D. Williams is
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Wow. He's other than Robert Wall, I just want to see a movie about Knox investigating some sort of, campaign against Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
And so he and Billy D. Williams have to team up to show me that movie.
Yeah. Billy D. Williams is just a fun treat in this movie. I wish he'd have came back in the franchise as Two-Face, but not to be. We get Tommy Lee Jones.
Who's so much like, if you're going to cast someone to follow in Billy D. Williams' footsteps, so it's totally seamless. So nobody notices the difference. Well, of course, one of the driest, most expressionless, kind of southernish actors. Maybe Billy D. Williams from the South. I don't know, but he doesn't have a trace of an accent to me. He's the anti-Billy.
Yeah.
He's Billy Z. Williams. I don't understand it, and I don't understand why you would cast him as one of your major villains if you weren't willing to follow through.
Yeah.
Because that's like saying, oh, it's just a bit part. No, it isn't. It's Harvey Dent. He's important to this mythology.
Yeah, it's Harvey Dent in this movie is not a bit part. Harvey Dent is a character that's going to be important down the road.
You bet.
And he's important because they are fighting crime in this movie, and he is sort of helping out with certain things with that department. Now, they're not. Once they find out Batman's the real deal, it's like, okay, the commissioner wants to open this file on him. He wants to investigate him. Part two, by the end of this movie, we get a alliance between Batman and the police. There's a bat signal. Who's your out of the Michael Keaton movies? Which one's your favorite? One or two?
I can't say I have a favorite. I would say the obviously better one is the second one.
Yeah. The fact that you get Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, oh my God, what a movie that is!
Good cast. It's a good cast. So yeah, I mean,
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken, Michelle Pfeiffer. There's no flies on that whatsoever.
No.
And then we come to the next one, Batman Fever, Batman Forever.
Yeah.
And you know what? I really liked it.
Yeah.
Because the other Bat movies were interesting, but they did not give me what I personally wanted going into a Batman movie. Not that Joel Schumacher really did, but he gave me more of kind of what I wanted from a movie like that. So, and I felt like I had permission to have fun. And this was up in the third or the second of the Schumacher movies, Batman and Robin, which I also liked. I like because it's I like it because of the ensemble. I think George Clooney is perfect, especially for that age of Batman. This is a Batman who's had time to get over a few issues and work some things out. I enjoyed the performances of the villains. Uma Thurman is like a female drag queen, if that's possible. She's this wonderfully campy parody of femininity, and but now these are things I don't take super seriously.
Yeah.
I am a Silver Age Batman guy, so this had some elements of that. And uh, Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. Um, Sometimes there are rewards for sticking with the toast dry dull world of heterosexuality.
Yes.
And then Alicia Silverstone plays Batgirl, and you just see a very, very, very lovely combination of acting talent, and she's a very talented actor, and the imagination and fun and a tad of eros, and in a wonderfully respectful balance.
Yeah.
So there, comment on that, pal.
I think one day we'll get again, I like Robert Pattinson's the Batman. It's an interesting so far. I don't now. I hear rumors that the villain's going to be Hush in the second one. Um, I sort of wish they would go the Poison Ivy route, but no, I don't think we're going to get that.
Yeah,
but with
I
Batman,
think a lot of Bat movies.
yeah, yeah. I
You
I
know,
do think that with this movie, like I'm with you. I like the second one better too. Like, but every series has its introduction movie. I think there are good things about this movie. We've named them. Would I have? I sort of again. I think there was decisions made that they probably even regret, and I just wonder. Again, if I could ask them one question, it would be, why would you put I'm not asking them why did they cast Jack Nicholson. My question is, why did you have Jack Nicholson play Jack Napier?
maybe, yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
like you could have Jack Nicholson just play the Joker, not Jack Napier. Um, but
Yeah.
I have nothing more to add to this movie. What about you, sir?
I think my disclaimer for some of my revelations of my superhero film preferences needs to. I have to have a disclaimer with those, and I said I liked it. I never said it was a good movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Rise of Skywalker. I said I liked it. I never said it was good. I just said I liked it. I like snow cones, but it's not even a good dessert. You know, it's like ice and stuff that's not what it's supposed to taste like. So, yay.
Yeah.
And some sort of color that a gastroenterologist could use to mark my colon on some weird trip. The camera down there, like in some insane dye.
Oh my
And I'm
god.
sure my lawn test looks like the United Nations. It's just every color imaginable, every flag represented there from snow cones.
Are you Hey, are you ready for episode 831 tomorrow night?
Yeah, which one is that?
Episode we're doing
Give
episode.
me just a yeah. That's too.
Oh, hold on. Oh my god.
Maybe I wrote it.
831. Angelique puts a spell on Gregory to make him write a suicide note in which he confesses to be the werewolf.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, all right. That one.
That's
I love it.
our buddy Gordon. Our buddy Gordon Dabowski picked the episode for tomorrow night, so that's the one we'll be talking about.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, well, Gordon and Patrick pick. The episode's gonna be great. So
now, Jewel, I take no part of that. And you pick a lot of good episodes.
I like having fun with you guys. So it's all good.
I know. You do. You toy with us like cat, ready to strike. Oh, look, one with beard is getting exhausted. I think I'll eat him first.
I actually got my episode 7 review up before we did this. So.
Glad you got it up.
I gotta record episode 8 eventually. But yeah, for Patrick McCray, I'm Jules Sage. Link to the Dark Shadows Daybook and Dark Shadows Daybook is going to be the description box. Since my buddy Patrick was so kind and to talk Batman with the first Batman movie with me.
I'm happy to talk the next one. We could do one about each of these things.
We could. When do you want to do the second Batman movie?
When is good for you? I'm on vacation. I can watch it whenever you want.
We could do it Monday night.
Let's do it Monday night.
All right. Monday at 11 good for you?
I can't get enough of it.
Okay. So Monday at 11 we'll be doing Batman 2, which is a Christmas movie too. So, buddy, you have a good night and take care.
Bye, Jewel.
Bye.